Hi everyone, this is Reed. Today we're going to be doing our first video lecture for Business Analytics at St. Bonaventure. And to start out, we are going to define Business Analytics. So here is a definition of Business Analytics that you're going to want to know, but let's break it down before you put it in your notes. So, business analytics is the use of data, information technology, statistical analysis, quantitative methods, and mathematical or computer-based models to help managers gain improved insight about their business operations and make better decisions. So let's take a minute to break this down. So the use of data. Data is defined as numerical facts and figures that are collected through some type of measurement process. So data are going to be the results of surveys or other queries that you can do into data that you have collected. Information is something that comes from analyzing data, that is, extracting means from data to support evaluation and decision making. Technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. So combined together, informational technology is using technology to analyze information and to extract meaning from the data that your computer systems have collected. Statistical analysis. Statistics is a required prereq of the course, so you should be familiar with statistics being defined as a summary measure of data, and analysis is the detailed examination of the elements or structure of something. So statistical analysis is basically the analysis of data that you have collected. And there we go. Quantitative methods are those research methods that use numbers as its basis for making generalizations about a phenomenon. And mathematical or computer-based models. So a model is an abstraction or representation of a real system, idea, or object. Models can be created using words, formula, graphics, or software. They can be simple or very complex. So let's just take a minute and, in your own words, create a verbal model for achieving a good grade in a course. Once you create the verbal model, then create a visual model for the same thing. Now, please save both of these, and we may be asking you to display them in class on Wednesday. So let's take a minute, step away from our definition of business analytics, and do a sidebar on the different types of models. So a simple verbal model is something that's going to be shown here. So if you have followed this link with me, then you'll be able to see that there are 4 different types of models, and this website will go through and define each one of them. If you're interested, feel free to read through them. However, just realize that these are simply paragraphs defining the different models that other people have created regarding healthcare systems. The details of this are not important. It's more important for you just to understand what a verbal model is. So a simple model graphic. As you can see, instead of 3 paragraphs of text defining each of our verbal models, this is a way to show it in a much simpler format. And if you were reading a research paper on this, your eyes would gravitate towards this graphic versus the paragraphs of text. And the goal with these 2 models is that they should be giving you the same information. A complex graphic model is, as you can see, much more involved than the simple model. To analyze this one is going to take a significant amount of time versus the 30 seconds or so it would take you to read the 3 boxes on the last one. However, there are places for both of these. If you need to define something and you think it's going to be easier in a model, it's better to give all the information you need in certain circumstances, and this is where a complex graphic model would come in. A computer simulation model is something that is too complicated for a human to create. This one that we're showing here is from the National Weather Service, demonstrating the path of a hurricane. The different colors in the model, as you can see, the purple, the reds, and the greens, all define an element, which for this case is the likelihood of Hurricane Matthew hitting a certain location. For instance, the purple means that it's 100% likely. And this model is going to be the result of hundreds and hundreds of simulations run on very powerful computers at the National Weather Service to give a better idea of where a storm may impact. So now that we've finished our quick sidebar on models, let's go back to our definition. So again, a model is an abstraction or representation of a real system, idea, or object. And they can be created using words, formula, graphics, or software. They can be simple or very complex. And the last 4 slides would have shown you those. So a mathematical model might be a formula or combination of formula and a computer-based model using software to make the math easier to handle. This is going to be very important in fields such as calculus or investing, where the formulas are beyond the comprehension of anyone outside of PhDs. So now we're going to be defining how business analytics helps managers gain improved insight about their business operation. So managers are people who are responsible for controlling or administering an organization or a group of staff. Insights are the capacity to gain an accurate and deeper understanding of someone or something. And business operations are an organized activity involving a number of persons centered on commercial activity. So, what does this mean? This means that business analytics will help the people running a company get a better view of the company than they would have outside of simply looking at numbers. And the thing they're obviously most interested in when it comes to their company is how it's running and if it's making money, etc. So, to make better decisions. A decision is a conclusion or resolution reached after consideration. Now, all of this here, the use of data information technology, statistical analysis, quantitative methods, and mathematical or computer-based models, the whole point of it is to help us make a better decision. Business analytics will give us a deeper view into our company and allow us to make a decision based on true facts and figures. And the article that we've assigned for Wednesday will dig into this and show you how companies these days are using business analytics. So the quick read of this is using a bunch of tools and technology to look at facts and figures about a business to provide the people who are running the business with the best information possible so they can make good decisions. So let's dive a little deeper into business analytics. There are 3 types of business analytics that we'll be touching on in this course. There's descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. And now let's define each of these. Descriptive analytics is describing what has been happening. So for instance, at Iroquois, descriptive analytics would be running a report summarizing how many members we currently have, what the turnover is, and how each of our RMs is doing. Predictive analytics is what's likely to happen. So predictive analytics will use the information that we have described in our descriptive area and build on it to help give us some forecasts into the future. And prescriptive analytics is how we can influence what will happen. So prescriptive is pushing you to do a certain outcome. So again, descriptive is what's been happening. It describes your data. So let's look at the Hickey Dining Hall as an example of descriptive analytics. So here are some descriptive facts about the Hickey, and you can take the time to read it. And as you can see, for each one of these, it's simply describing what has happened in the past. Predictive analytics is what's likely to happen. It predicts the future. So again, jumping back to the Hickey, using the descriptive analytics from the last slide, we can now make some predictions. So based on the fact that 2% of students will eat liver and onions when it's served as the main dish, we can predict that few students will serve that as the main course if it's served for dinner. And because we saw that 95% of students eat ice cream, we can predict that satisfaction of the Hickey will decrease if we get rid of ice cream. Because in the past, students have gone to the Hickey for dinner between 5 and 7, we can predict that food lines will be longer during those time periods, and so on. And as you can see, each one of these is simply building off the descriptive analytics that we got by looking at the Hickey over an extended period of time. And finally, prescriptive analytics tells us what to do. So here we go, and we'll look back at the Hickey one last time. And we can see that based on the descriptive analytics making predictions, we now know that if we want to maximize student satisfaction with the main dinner course, we should stop serving liver and onions. We should keep offering ice cream at all meals. We should add extra staff between 5 and 7 to reduce the wait time around dinner. And we should continue to offer brownies, but possibly drop bread pudding from the dessert menu rotation. So hopefully you can see how we built from a description of what's happening to predicting what will happen to making action points in these 3 steps. And these 3 steps are going to be basically what we're teaching you this semester, and we're going to cover different tools that allow you to get through these easier. So, a quick recap of what we've done in this video lecture. We described business analytics and gave a definition and some examples of models. We defined descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics and went through some examples using the Hickey. So, to finish up, let's just do a few more examples of each type of analytics. So descriptive analytics, again, we are describing the data. So 75% of people like ice cream. For predictive analytics, it's telling us what's likely to happen. So data shows that as the temperature rises, ice cream sales increase. Prescriptive analytics tells us what to do. So if the temperatures are going to rise to be higher than the average this weekend, we should stock more ice cream than usual. It looked at what's happened in the past, looked at our prediction for the future, and gave us an action point. So now take a minute and individually go through it and think about what we've defined and work through this. You are in charge of staffing a Starbucks on the first floor of a giant office building in Chicago. How might you use each of our types of analytics? Again, write these down and bring them to class on Wednesday, and we'll go through your ideas. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to myself or Lori. Thanks.